Alright, let us continue our adventures in Pillars of Eternity. Load my saved game here. We just finished Act 1. We're at this Defiance Bay. So, I did, last time I streamed, Durance is out on a mission for my stronghold, and I was unaware of what turns meant. The game didn't really explain it. Apparently there's a note, like a little tip or note that explains what a turn is, but I also googled it. A turn is basically a quest, so 2 turns means I have to do approximately 2 in-game quests, and once that is done, then Durance will be freed up. So it's good to know for in the future, because I've got 2 people at my stronghold that are non-story-driven characters for future usage in that regard. Just waiting for the game to load, and then we'll get going. I also plan on streaming Hollow Knight either later in this stream or later today. I'm not exactly sure when. Okay. So we're going to cross the bridge and explore. Need to make some money too, because I'm down to 235 gold. I just had payday. See, this is the Goose and Fox. Let's check it out. Probably going to be a lot of soul talking. You see a fire burning slowly on the side of a winding road, unmanned. There seems to be no fuel, no wood or oil for it to consume, no hay or twigs. Despite this, it roars, crackles, wails in the wind. It takes you a moment, but you begin to notice a figure in the flames. Its shaking hands cradle a young face, molten red tears marring skin the color of coal. The boy cowers, flame coating him as he holds his knees to his chest. In the distance, a man approaches, faceless. He extends a hand to the frightened child, who considers it warily before taking it. The flames died down, leaving his limbs and settling on his head like obedient pets. All tears dried, they walked together, fire and death, hand in hand. You see a wizard playing illusions in a town square, fingers plucking color and sound from the air, and weaving scenes of beauty and fright. A crowd of onlookers gasps and cheers, enthralled with the display. All but one boy, standing off to the side, mouth agape. Green eyes are pale with wonder, vision after vision playing out before him, and something inside the boy clicks. Without warning, he bolts, disappearing into the crowd, pushing and shoving desperately. The mage finishes his show soon after, a giant silver dragon descending through the crowd and 1,000 stars exploding into nothingness. Collecting coins, he walks around the clapping crowd, bowing and nodding each as he passes, until a small sack is dropped into his hands. The boy stands for a moment before him, small and still, and begs the wizard to apprentice him. He glances at the hefty bag, weighing it, and the boy, carefully. Finally, he nods and flicks gently at the bag, which disappears. The boy grins. "How do you do that?" he asks, but the illusionist merely winks. You see a hand, curled and bruised, staked to the floor of a bent metal spike. Blood covers the floor and drips from the furnishings and walls. This man looks up from the body he is crouched over to survey the carnage he caused to the family in whose house he now skulks. 4 bodies total, a woman, 2 young men, and a girl, lie blindfolded on the ground. Their legs are bound and both hands are attached to the floor of spikes. He has lifted the woman's blindfold and is currently doing something to her eyes. He pulls back a small blade and covers the eyes again, gently patting the blindfold. He stands and looks around, seemingly satisfied with his handiwork. Suddenly his breath quickens, hearing someone approach the door to the room. He bounces in place, excitement almost overwhelming him, then rushes to the back of the room, concealing himself in the shadows. From his vantage, he sees the bodies are perfectly arranged, each one facing the door, welcoming the man of the house back, arms outstretched as if in embrace. The door opens as he slowly pulls another spike from his belt, at the tip of his tongue playing across his teeth in anticipation. Stelgar's pelt is thick with dust and moss. The plaque below the beast reads Maiden Falls, 2682. You see a half-consumed ale slosh its way across the distance to his mouth, spilling across the stains of food long past. Glazed eyes glance at the brawl across the room, gaining fervor as the fight extends throughout the room. Another ale, he murmurs to the bartender, downing his drink and turning towards the wall. He pulls a picture from his pocket, a painting of a young child, all brown hair and green eyes, and holds it above a candle. It does not burn. Ales later, he begins to sing. The bar a mess of broken chairs and wounded pride, and they all listen for a moment before continuing their drinks. Sveth conversations. His ache is felt through the room. His sad story reminds them of their sad stories. When he finishes singing, a silence hangs in the air, palpable among the smoke and the sweat and the yeasty smell of beer-infused exultation. He is the first to break the silence, ordering a round of ale for the room. The general din of conversation sparks and resumes, but the mirth now is tempered with far-off memories and thoughts. You see an impressive gathering of wild orlands in ceremonial dress, shaded by a copse of ancient oaks. Underneath the largest oak stands two young orlands, hands clasped, eyes clear as they promise to care for and love one another in the joining of their clans. An older orland steps towards them to speak, beard seeming to sprout from directly underneath his eyes, and declares their union complete. The jubilant orland clans carry the newly wedded couples away to their tents with snorts of laughter and crude jokes, leaving the older orland to sit alone beneath the age-old oak. He sighs, observing the scene in the distance. He whispers a quiet benediction, glad for their gladness, and melts into the trees without another word. He has seen enough happiness for one day. A dragon is outlined in charcoal pencil. The thick, jagged lines and the faint smell of sulfur suggest that the artist completed this sketch in a hurry. Cliff Dragon White March. A woman sits by herself, spinning something on the table in front of her and watching it with furious intensity. It's about the size of a coin, and it wobbles over, cracking the wood with a metallic rattle. She snatches it up with one hand and slams a half-empty cup down on the table with the other. This is not a good time. What's that you're spinning? She glowers at her clothes. It's something I need to get rid of. What are you doing here? She takes a long drink from her glass, just trying to calm down and trying to talk myself out of something foolish. Something foolish? She says nothing for a few moments, as if hoping you'll leave. At last, Canra looks up at you, and lamplight falls across her face. A purpling bruise is blossoming along her cheekbone. There's something I need to give to my fiancé, Pernisk, only he doesn't seem to go anywhere without his new friends, and they're not exactly pleasant company. Who hit you? She shakes her head. I know how this looks, but you don't understand. It's not like Persnick. It's their new friend. It's these new friends of his. They've brought out the worst in him. Tell me about these new friends. They come into our house with their dead eyes and their black teeth. I'm not a fool. I know what it means. Pernisk makes me leave when they show up, but it's obvious what they came to do. Last time they came, I told them to get out. Let them have their fun somewhere in the gift, but not under my roof. She scowls and then winces, her fingertips gently probing her bruise. Sveth changes you, I guess. I guess Sveth is a drug. I'm assuming based on the context of the conversation. The Pernisk I knew wouldn't have squashed a spider. I never thought he'd. She trails off, still feeling the swollen, discolored flesh. Maybe I could go talk to him, survival too, but Sveth makes people calm and listless. It shouldn't make them violent. I thought Sveth just made people lay around not doing much. Intellect 10. I don't really know. Seemed better than believing he's always been this way. Maybe I could go talk to him. Her hand rests on the table and she clenches it into a white-knuckled fist. There's nothing more to say to him. We're finished. I just want to give this back to him and have a clean break. She opens her hand and a ring clatters onto the table. It was his grandmother's. Even after this, I don't have the heart to sell it off. But if I go back there myself, I know what'll happen. I'll lose my temper and I'll probably wind up with another one of these. She points to her bruise. I'll take the ring to Pernisk then. She looks at you and nods. The house is just north of here. Just please don't hurt him. As furious as I am, I don't want that on my conscience. Let's see if there's any more information she has to give. Okay, so it doesn't look that way.
Huh?
Doesn't look like there's anything around, which means I could probably see if any of this stuff has money in it.
Steady does it.
I'll have it in no time. The work of a moment.
It's not stealing if nobody's around to catch you. I wouldn't do it except I'm desperate for money. You see a mud-soaked clearing, rain falling to the ground in large drops. This man is lying on his back in the muck, his hands holding open the maw of an enormous Stalgar that stands over him, its front paws on his chest. The heavy rain falls over them, playing counterpoint to the grunts made by the opponents. Dead Stalgar litter the ground around them, as the man's body shows signs of a difficult battle. His clothing is torn, hanging in scraps in some places. Bites and scratches cover his arms and legs. A huge gash cuts across his forehead, blood and water mixing as they run down his face and drip into the mud. It takes all the man's effort to keep the beast's jaws from clamping down. The man looks around wildly until his gaze finally lands on a large axe lying barely within arm's reach behind his head. Pardon me. The rain slowly covering it with grime and muddy water. He looks at the Stalgar and then back at his axe, grim determination on his face. His arms are shaking and it seems he'll not be able to hold the beast back for much longer. He takes a deep breath and wraps his right hand around the Stalgar's bottom jaw, then lets go with his left hand, freeing the top of its head. The Stalgar's mouth snaps shut on his right hand as his left shoots out above his head and grabs the handle of his axe. The Stalgar grinds its teeth and pulls back, trying to free itself from his grip, blood dripping from its mouth onto his face. With a grunt that quickly becomes a bellow of pain, the man pulls his right hand down, bringing the beast's head closer to him, swinging their axe around as he does. The blade of the weapon pierces the Stalgar's neck and it yelps, its mouth popping open as it tries to step backward off the man. Before his mangled hand can lose its grip, the man pulls and twists as hard as he can, trying to get the beast on the ground, using the Stalgar's resistance to pull himself into a sitting position. He brings the axe down on his neck again, and one final time as its head and his hand simultaneously come free. The head flies from his grip as he thrusts his hand behind his back to brace himself as he falls. As his hand hits the ground and his full weight lands on it, a second bellow of pain erupts from his mouth. Breathing heavily, he brings his now mangled hand up to assess the damage. The little finger's gone, lost somewhere in the mud. The two fingers next to it are twisted, broken, and torn, barely attached to his hand by small bits of flesh. He sighs, grabbing both dangling fingers with his left hand. He grits his teeth and pulls. The painting depicts Glenfathan ruins, and the canvas bears the rough brushstrokes of a talented amateur. Ebree's Well, 2665. The dwarf and Orlin debate philosophy on the other side of the curtain.
Good day to you.
The man behind the bar is nearly the size of an Amua. A handle protrudes from his back and his face is set in a stoic frown. He gives you a small nod. Here for a drink? There's a tiny pewter cup in front of him. He turns it in one broad hand but doesn't drink from it. Let's just see what the guy has to offer.
Hail and well met.
Tell me about yourself. Name's Bishop. Used to be a scholar of Bareth. Now I run the Goose and Fox and keep the regulars in line. He shifts and he'll see a warhammer strapped to his back. What more is there to tell? How'd you go from religions to taverns? The journey isn't as long as you'd think. It started with Hollowborn, and with this, he takes a black bottle from under the bar and fills the pewter cup. It was my sister's son. He takes a drink. At the beginning of Waidwin's legacy, he was one of the first. I never expected there would be so many after him. Tragedy is part of the cycle, but it's followed by rebirth. Yet every year, more parents were grieving for their Hollowborn children, and the gods were silent. So you lost your faith? He leans forward, crossing his arms on the bar. Bear promises rebirth, cycles, but the only cycle I found was this one. He taps the bar. Have a drink, have another, and another, until I couldn't remember how I got home. Wake up, come back. I finally woke up one day to see my family had packed up and left. For all I'd know, they'd left days before and I just hadn't noticed, but they were gone, so I came here. I've cleaned up since then. Not that I found my answers. He tosses the cup back. I've just stopped asking questions. So, a lively place? It was founded during the early days of Deerwood and independence by a traveling scholar named Errol of Levi. He wanted a place where kith of all backgrounds could gather and hash out the issues facing their new country. He rests his elbows on the polished wood of the bar. It didn't take long for the place to fill up. Brackenbury aristocrats argued with dock workers from the Gift, while soldiers wrangled with politicians. Deerwoodans have never been known to turn down an argument. He takes a sip from the tiny cup. I can imagine things got interesting. Soon, kith were coming from the farms and settlements, too. He waves at the door, as if expecting a crowd to bustle in. This place got even more popular with the Valian sailors than the Salty Mast, and that was the problem. He drains his cup. No matter what people say about fair-mindedness and civil debate, there's only so much people will tolerate. Errol found himself on the wrong side of an argument with the wrong Thane, and when he disappeared a few days later, some said it was the work of that Thane. He shrugged, spreading his hands over the bar as he surveys the room. But Errol knew which way the wind was blowing. If you ask me, he skipped town, hid out somewhere, hoping for rational minds to prevail in Defiance Bay. He cracks a wry grin. If only he could see it now. Alright. Oh, hey, he has something to say.
Dozens. Pretty sure you won't find one among them who stood within 100 miles of that bridge when the Godhammer went off. Too bad, too. Said there'd be less of them.
What do you have against the dozens? Nothing serious. Nothing I don't have against a lot of folks, anyways. The dozens, they like to take things into their own hands. Gets ugly sometimes. We don't have them in Gilded Vale, but they'd be right at home there. They picked that name so they could do what they wanted and feel like it was right. Got nothing to do with honor or sacrifice. They like to invoke Magrin, too, when they especially want to feel right. Somehow, I don't think she'd be too impressed with that lot. I'm sure she'd like to set them on fire anytime they use her name, but the gods probably got rules against that kind of thing. People hide behind symbols so they can't be questioned, that's true. The Duke's a reasonable man. Maybe while we're in Defiance Bay, we can get him to force people to call themselves what they are. Don't imagine they'd have as many members if they called themselves the loudmouth sheep fuckers. Why did they call themselves the Dozens? Was 12 Deerwoodans stood outside Halgout Citadel waiting for Waidwin to cross the bridge there. They had to hold him there long enough for the Godhammer to detonate, so that's what they did. Godhammer? That's what they called the bomb they blew up Waidwin with. Don't know much about it other than that. Anything kills a living god. Guess you gotta name it. Alright.
Yeah.
See what's upstairs.
Hail, traveler.
An Orlon man relaxes with his feet propped up on the table. Patches of dark brown skin peek out from under a full mane of blue-green hair. He and the Orlan woman with him exchange laughs and comments with the trio at a nearby table, and he spins a dagger in his hand. His hazel eyes watch you. You look like you've seen a night or two in the wilds. Join us for the drink. Who are all of you? The name's Two-Tone Wixel. The lady next to me is Key. We've had our fun with the expeditions, but we're hoping to enjoy a little peace and quiet for the next few weeks anyways. A man at the next table nods at you. I'm Dredge Dayton. This is Hurdy and Aoife. We were part of separate expedition teams, but we both suffered losses and decided to band together. He ticks several items off his fingers. Beasts, barbarians, Biowaks. It's a dangerous time to be an adventurer, but a prosperous one too. At the next table, Dayton raises his glass. And here's to many more prosperous journeys. Is there something else you wanted? Nah. Scattered among such isles of Florida live in lands, unity and disunity, a history of the Deadfire Archipelago, and treatises on the Culkin people are half a dozen travel journals held together with twine.
Nice and slow.
I'll have it in no time. The work of a moment.
Old Valley, Southern Coast, 2670 AI. Another soul. You see a man standing on a dock. Sailors, soldiers, and prostitutes swarm around him, but he's watching the ship disappearing over the horizons. He should be glad his men didn't take his life along with his ship, but failure is almost as bad as death. Failure is almost as bad as death for a Valiant, and the gods only knows he has a fair name better in his family's mercantile business. It's almost a relief to see the last herald of his failure sail into the distance, sparing him the need to go back to his father and defeat once again. Besides, with sharp wits and an eye for opportunity, there's always a chance for a comeback. He pulls a flask from his hip and takes a long drink. There will be time for that later. He adjusts the flap of his eye patch and finds the tower of the brothel. He plots a new course for the evening, a grin on his face. As you near, you feel a vibrant history contained in the essence of this woman's soul. Voices from its past seem to call out to you. You see a group of people standing on a clear patch of earth, surrounded by several motionless bodies. On the ground in the middle of the group is a small figure, curled up to protect itself. Oh, there you are. From the kicking feet of the people standing around it, this woman is there, apart from the group, holding an enormous sword. She leans on it. Come on, leave the computer alone. Using it almost like a crutch, hunched over and breathing heavily. She stares at the people and grunts, pulling herself upright and lifting the sword from the ground. She draws in a large breath, leans into a run, and quickly closes the distance between herself and the group. A blood-chilling howl suddenly explodes from her. The mob freezes mid-kick and stares at the terrifying bull of a woman now charging it. She jumps at the last second, bending slightly, turning herself into a projectile flying into the middle of the people, assaulting the figure on the ground. Everyone topples as she flies into them. She hits the ground beyond them, rolling, leaping back up, and turns to face them. She plants both of her feet and lifts her sword, surveying the field. Suddenly she spins on her heels, swinging her sword with a savage grace, cutting down the nearest of the assailants. Letting herself get pulled into the momentum of the spin, she brings her sword around, blade sideways, into the head of a would-be opponent. The bottom of the hilt shatters his temple, and he crumples to the ground at her feet. She looks up, rage-filled eyes, daring the remaining two men to approach. After a quick sideways glance at each other, would you stop causing trouble? They turn heel and run. One briefly looks back over her shoulder, ensuring she isn't following him. She slowly lets out a breath she had been holding and walks over to help the figure still huddled on the ground. Can you please stop? You're gonna trip over my cord. Stop. Sorry, a cat has to get into everything.
Keeping an eye out.
Pages of these old books are crisp and fragrant with the salt of a sea breeze. New book. Cool. You see a firm hand scribing notes from an ancient, surprisingly sturdy-looking tome. Script, precise, picture, small but clear. The monk runs his fingers across the paper lightly, page after page, searching for something. The script is ancient, almost illegible, but he perseveres, scrawling stacks and shelves of notes, transcribing the book into something more comprehensible. Suddenly, he starts scribbling hastily, eyes wild, pen a blur across the newly ink-spattered page. With a start, he pushes out from the desk and closes the tome, sending waves of dust to coast about the room, and grins wildly. He hurries to the exit, notes piled under his arm, and a new adventure on his mind. You see a man praying soundlessly on the ground, lips moving to some ancient and unknowable hymn. Lying in his hands, his sword sputters into blinding white light, banishing the darkness around him instantly to lurking corners and shelves. He opens his eyes slowly, continuing his silent prayer as he adjusts to the new light, his face tight with concentration. He stands and begins to move deliberately towards an enormous iron door, strange symbols inscribed upon its rusted surface. His prayer gets louder, gains substance as he gets closer. Blue eyes burn with fervor as the glowing tip of the sword touches the center of the door and slides through. White light spreads across its surface, symbols flaring into life as the paladin chants. A gentle tone sounds, ringing through the ancient structure, and the door begins to open. The symbols have disappeared along with the rust, and the paladin steps through into places unknown, bearing a light he is only now beginning to understand. You see a grin slide across the face of a man and onto the face of a woman younger still than he. She moves closer in the tallow light, sure and slow, tasting the anticipation on his tongue, the desire on hers. The candle gutters, sending yellow-brown light sneaking across his multifaceted eyes. She sits back, now all too aware of his luminescent horns and dust-stamped blue skin. His otherness leaves her breathless, but from fascination or horror you cannot tell. He reaches across a hand, trailing the line of her jaw, sibilant whispers snaking through the air, tempting, cajoling. Something in her breaks, and his grin slides back as he extends his tongue to lick the curve of her throat, pausing a hair's breadth from her flesh. The thing we spoke of, your husband. I shouldn't, he'd be ruined. A faint protest. The man wags his forefinger at her, tisking playfully, tracing a line with the finger down the length of her torso, causing her to writhe. He stops it just short. She gasps. No fair, that's cheating, she pouts, childlike. Not if we make the rules, the man winks, and he resumes his stroke. Okay, so we explored everywhere up here. Alright, we're done with here. Let me take a look at that ring. One second, I have to check something. Okay. Oh, every time I alt-tab out in this game, it makes the frames per second tank for some unknown reason. There, I think it's sorted out. Okay, so let's see. I needed to check the ring. That's right. Who needs a ring? It's a damage ring. Let's give it to him. No, I am going to save and reload the game. There's something... Sometimes this game, when you alt-tab out and back in, it just doesn't like it. And that's my fault. I'm sorry for that. Just give me 1 second. Where's my save? I know I saved. It may have been in the middle of sinking. Yeah, that's probably what it was. I hope. Because I saved before I quit. It was probably just in the middle of Steam sinking to the cloud. Not overly concerned. Really? My saved game's gone? That's spectacular. I guess the autosave should be fine. Yeah, just like that. It's gone. That's kind of crazy. There it is. Oh, well, there it is because I saved it again, but it was definitely gone. Let's go this way and work our way around. You see a man crosses his arms and sticks his chin out. Moonlight and torchlight color his face. Bullshit. The elf standing in front of him wears a panicked expression. Are you mad? I've seen it. Aha! The first man cries, raising a triumphant finger. You just said you'd only heard it. The elf blinks. What in the name of Galloway's beasts does that have to do with anything? You said you only heard it. Now you're telling me it's a monster the size of Tuamua with blood-dyed fur. The man takes a step closer to the elf. And now I'm saying you're a liar, Doran. Doran sputters. God's visitors, who cares what it looks like? It's a rabid wolf. You saw what it did to the sheep. The elf throws up both his hands, shaking his head. You want to stay out here all night to see the thing yourself? Have it your way. I'm getting out of here. Fine. All right. Good. The elf storms off, casting one last glance over his shoulder as he disappears down a hill. The man sets off in the other direction, a sword in one hand and a torch in the other. Within minutes, he comes to a broken paddock where a dozen sheep lie dead, their throats torn and their innards scattered across the ground. It is not the work of a normal predator. Something crunches through the dried grass. Visser spins but sees nothing. He raises his torch higher. This time, a rustling sounds from behind him near the paddock. He turns again to see a wolf. It's not nearly as large as Doran had sworn, and while its fur is matted with red around his throat and paws, the rest of the elf's description has proven to be rather lurid exaggeration. Typical. Viserys takes some small satisfaction in this, even while the wolf lunges toward him, its jaws foaming and eyes rolling. Psst, over here, mister. The young boy watches the passerby and counts a grimy handful of coins. His face and arms are smudged with dirt, but except for the grass stains, his clothes are in good condition. As you approach, he blinks and makes a quick, furtive effort to pocket his coins. Hey, mister, want to know a secret? He wipes his nose with a sleeve. I know a real good secret. Looks like we got a little hustler here. Someone raised this kid right. Really, what is it? He shrugs and clasps his hands behind his back, kicking a loose pebble. I just saw folks hiding some really neat things. I could show you where, but Mom and Dad told me not to talk to strangers. His eyes slowly roll up at you. But maybe you could help me, son. Then we wouldn't be strangers. Help you with what? Gertie's voice suddenly rises in pitch and tempo. The Crucible Knights have these daggers made out of March steel. It's the best steel around, except for Durgan steel, which doesn't count because no one makes it anymore. He stops long enough to catch his breath. Anyways, There's this merchant over by the expedition hall, and he has a dagger made of real March steel. His eyes grow large and round. He said he wouldn't sell it to me because I'm a kid, and kids don't know anything about daggers. But that's not true. I know lots about daggers. I know about the different kinds of steel. I know how the Crucible Knights make them in a forge. I know that the tip can pierce low-gauge scale armor. That one that's good and sharp can cut through bone. See, I know plenty about daggers, and I really, really want this one. And if you could just get it for me, I promise I'll never, ever ask anyone for anything ever again. In Mausuk, we begin training our daughters with the hunting knife as soon as they can talk. Many can field dress a hare before their 10th birthday. She frowns. I wouldn't trust this kid with a butter knife. Let's talk. Go the rational. My character is stoic and rational. But if I'm going to be a real warrior, I'd have to start training young, just like the heroes in the stories. I just know I was a great warrior in a previous life. My mom even says I have an old soul. Fine, I'll help you. Gordy jumps up and down, whooping and hollering. I knew a real adventurer would understand. He points to a large building. There's a big merchant over by Adamith's den who sells weapons. He's the one with the dagger. I'll wait right here for you. His gap-toothed grin stretches from ear to ear. He said Adamith's den. So it's around there. I started here, I'm working my way there, working my way around. See, that gives me access to Brackenberry, but we're not leaving until we finish exploring. Let's see what Skinflint has to say. You see an older dwarf counting coins behind a grimy shop window, hair limp with grease and sweat, a sneer playing around the edges. Yeah, this game strikes me as the type where no two playthroughs are ever the same between characters you choose to have in your party, and decisions you make, and just personality of the character you design from the get-go, so I appreciate that. I've been running with Durance, but Durance is kind of a prick, and he's out on a stronghold mission, so it's nice to have get one of the other story-driven player characters to hang around for a while. The bargains of the day lie scattered across the table, from tarnished tawdry jewelry to an acid-encrusted dagger lying precariously near the edge. His half-nose twitches in anticipation as a customer enters, a disheveled young noble, once white doublet stained with a life gone wrong, eyes dark behind him, searching for pursuit. Before he dumps the contents of his Hessian bag on the table, the dwarf leans forward, fingers flicking through the silverware and assorted goblets. He shakes his head emphatically, sneer fully settled, shoving the items back at the man. The man pleads, begs, eyes rolling panicked in their sockets, asking for something, anything, a few silvers. The dwarf leers and tosses 3 copper pans on the table. Desperate, the young noble tears a signet ring from his finger, to the dwarf's ill-concealed delight. A few more coins go into the pile, and the defeated man, swearing stitches under his breath, exits the shop. The venerable dwarf grins at his good fortune, picking food out of his 2 sharp teeth as he examines the hall. Okay, let's see what's in this building. Oh, catacombs.
Keeping quiet.
Dead initiative. As you approach the dead man, you could feel the faint traces of a soul lingering, a stunned uncertainty holding it in place. When you near, without warning, the soul hurries towards you, as though you were a solitary light in the dank gloom of this place, come to usher it away. Its essence invades your consciousness. You are in a different body now, walking deeper into the catacombs, cloaked in a dark robe with a mask pulled over your face. You're following a familiar path along the canal, heading to a room built around a statue of a figure wearing a robe much like yours. Others await, clothed in hoods and shadows. Ahead is another figure dressed like you, traveling in the same direction. You don't know his name, and that's how it's supposed to be. Out of the darkness, something monstrous grabs the other figure. You turn to flee, but find yourself face to face with a troll. I could take out trolls, no problem. The panic pounding through your brain is interrupted by razor-edged teeth and claws. You snap yourself out of the dead man's memory. The corpse lies on the damp and grimy ground. His hood and mask are missing, and his clothes are shredded. Sagani draws up next to you. You alright? Looked almost like you'd lost your footing for a minute. Feels that way when I see into the ether. She watches you quietly. You really are a watcher, aren't you? Once in a great many generations, one of my people is born with the ability to speak to souls. Usually such individuals become elders, or a lone set of tracks in the snow. She cocks her head. I would have thought my journey would be easier if I could see what you see, but looking at you, I'm not so sure. Neither am I. Believe it or not, I once would have rejoiced to know I'd be picked to travel far in search of something great, but even these gifts come with a cost, don't they? Forgive me if I was a little skeptical of your abilities before. I can't say I've met a real watcher before. Oh, don't worry about him. He just likes doing that from time to time. Seems to cheer him up, so I just let him. Once you've seen it a few times, the shock wears off. Every time he goes a little strange in the face, I try and see if I can hear anything. Kana grins. It hasn't worked so far. See if you can get him to tell you what the spirit said. Okay.
Hello? Hello?
Kind of want to fight because I need the money. I'm not going to have enough for the next hireling's payday if I don't make some money. I should have been more careful choosing what to build with my stronghold.
Brave Dalfila Agili.
Oh, oozes? No problem. Oozes are not particularly difficult.
That's it!
Oh, I didn't mean... Oh, no, that's right. Check for anything trapped or hidden. More Kickstarter backers. Just in case there's any sort of read all the tombstones achievement or something like that. Guess I could check on that, but just takes a second. Yes, more money. Have enough for another hireling payday at least now. I guess I should have held off on buying like a 4,000 stronghold upgrade when that was almost my entire money. Probably a poor decision on my part, but nah, doesn't really matter. Let's take out the ooze first. The oozes aren't going to die fast. Okay, everybody get on that troll. Let's see. These two guys can stay on the ooze. Let's knock down that troll. Don't need spells, really. And let's just do that.
Yeah.
Why is this guy still... I thought I told him to attack the ooze.
I have them! Roll up 10!
Easy peasy.
Brave thou Philoculi.
Sure.
Let's see what's down this way.
Brave thou Philoculi. I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
There's got to be something. These are catacombs. There's got to be some treasure down here that's worth a crap. Let's go up this way, go through the door, check that out. More Kickstarter backers. At first I wasn't selling anything I looted. I'm kind of a hoarder in games, so I just keep everything. Then I started having money issues, and I started selling all the extras of the common items, the common weapon, common armor, etc. But I would keep one of each. Well, I've done all that, and I still have monetary issues because I keep spending so much building up my stronghold. It's a problem of my own creation, so I know I'm just going to have to take it easy on the stronghold for a turn or two to build my money reserves back up.
Now this
And
is
that's why it
interesting.
pays to stealth.
The work of a moment.
Fine mail armor. I don't think anybody can use that at the moment, but we'll take a look. Probably what I'll do next to make some money is I will sell like magic level items, the blue con, which are still like fine breastplates and fine mail armors, etc. I'll start selling that stuff because I have a bunch of that stuff, but I'm willing to take those steps, but I want to do it in stages. Like, okay, I've sold a bunch of the common items but kept one of each. Now I'll sell magic level items but keep one of each. You know, just to keep my my issues with hoarding in check. More lockpicks. Money, yes. 700. That's what I like to see. Starting to get back on my feet. Just like my OCD won't let me pass by these Kickstarter tombstone things. I know they're pointless and there's probably no trophy or achievement to them, but it's a context item to click on, so I can't just pass them by. A new cloak. Let's take a look at that next time I look at my inventory. It's a good game. I loved the old Baldur's Gate and Icewind Dale Infinity Engine games, so this game is right up my alley. I'm really enjoying this. It's nice to have a good old style traditional CRPG to play again. Contrary to most, I actually liked Icewind Dale series more than I liked the Baldur's Gate series, because Baldur's Gate, you know, has cities and stories and storyline and stuff. Icewind Dale kind of eschewed the story for more dungeon play, and I really enjoyed that. I already did that. I don't know why I did that again. Oh, there sounds like there's something there. Okay, let's look across the bridge or finish looking down here. Let's finish looking down here. It's probably just water I was hearing. I do need to go through and look at this stuff at some point, but it can collect for a bit.
I shall be discreet.
Brave Dalfilatia.
Dead on!
You know, I really like how this game handles the inventories and the storage features. I don't know if you tried the Divinity Original Sin game. I haven't tried the second one. But I don't like how that game handles inventory management or party management. Like, if I have my entire group selected in Pillars of Eternity and go to take out a trap or whatever, it knows to send the best guy with the best mechanic skill to disarm that trap. It seemed like, and I didn't play all that long in Divinity Original Sin before the inventory management ticked me off and I quit it to come back later. But it seemed like in Divinity Original Sin, they wouldn't automatically select your best pickpockets or stealth guy. You had to select them. Kind of the same way for the inventory management. DOS had, you know, a central stash as well as individual stashes, but here it's just managed so much better. It doesn't drive me crazy, I guess you could say. Tyranny, I've heard of it. I haven't actually seen it. Is it a newer game or is it an older game? Just kind of curious to see. You know, it's always possible I have it in my huge backlog that I'll never get through in my lifetime.
That's it. On the hunt.
Vicious, foul-smelling sludge ebbs in the trench. More money, can't go wrong there. Another bridge across. Actually, let's go down this way first. Dead end, it looks like. Spell can go to him, another 15. Okay, I don't want to take the stairs down. I want to finish looking at this level first.
Brave Dalfilatia.
On the hunt.
Good.
Brave thou feel.
Oh, skeletal wizards. Ranged guys could start taking him out. Including the wolf. There we go. Oh, cool, cool. I'll have to check it out. After this, I plan on playing Pillars of Eternity 2. And I want to fit Hollow Knight in there. Probably start that this weekend a little bit. But yeah, I'm always open to new game suggestions. I love old school style CRPGs. Okay, other wizards taken care of. Everybody finish off this skeleton.
Let's go.
Oh, I didn't even realize that guy was still there.
Sure.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
Nothing good there, so just take it all. Warhammer, more money, excellent. Yeah, I think my money problem should be over with after this little foray into the catacombs. Between this and the gear I'm getting, which I could sell.
Laying low.
So there's two paths. Let's take the path we're heading towards first. See where it leads us. Wonder if it just goes in a circle. Oh, why did you wait to detect the trap until my guy's already on top of it? Okay, okay. Get out of danger, please. I've never had that happen. Usually they're pretty good about letting me see the traps well ahead of time.
What do you suppose that bally thing is?
Will do. Thank you for the suggestion. Okay, so this entire place is riddled with traps, apparently. Okay. In the case of a failed trap, do I have anything with perception enhancing abilities? Doesn't look that way. So what I will do is send my guy with the highest.
Hey,
Alright, time to send him as a guinea pig to bust the
all
trap.
right then. Not so alarming, but I'm slowly dying of boredom.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
Oh, this looks like a pretty big fight. There's a named guy there. A lone figure in a tattered robe shuffles across the chamber, muttering under its breath. As you approach, the figure halts and swivels its head towards you. Its haggard visage is a labyrinth of wrinkles and sores overgrown by a moss-like beard. What's this? Who disturbs Halig's work? Its voice rattles and gurgles like that of a drowned man. Hey, back off, dude. I was just exploring the catacombs. Figure aims a gnarled finger at the door. Then go and thank your gods I'm not hungry. If there's nothing else, be on your way. What are those creatures behind you? Just a few personal projects. Sorry souls stuck in their mortal shells. Their flesh is as dead as mine, though their minds are not as well maintained. Thank you for the follow, Sandman. They flock to me like worms to drakes. They're not half as intelligent, but he watches as one stumbles into a desk. They serve for amusement. What are you doing down here? Research, a hodgepodge of animancy and necromancy. I have peace and quiet, as well as an abundant supply of subjects. Okay, so it doesn't look like he's going to fight me. I might do something to piss him off before I leave, but we'll see.
Shh. I wonder what this is.
Now, I might piss him off if I steal his shit. But there's something hidden. I have to look at it. Some potion. Oh, he didn't seem to care. Tarnished locket. Yeah, I'm... You know, I don't have clinical OCD or anything like that, but things like, you know, the way I handle my inventory, and it's just, it really makes me twitch if I lose progress. So I am, before an important conversation, I'll save. Before something that even looks like it might be something important that I'll lose progress on if I die, I'll save. I'm a serial saver. I save constantly.
What do you suppose that bally thing is? The work of a moment.
Decent experience doing all this trap disarmament too, so I have zero problems with it. Oh, pistol, okay. Okay, so I just came full circle, so... Oh, that leads to the Temple of Wodeka, and that's actually where I need to go for a quest. But... I kind of want to go there the above... I don't know if that's the intended way of getting there, or just like a shortcut, or what have you. So I'm gonna hold off on going there, but at least now I know one way of getting to the Temple of Wodeka.
Slow and silent.
Oh yeah, I'm back up to 1300. That makes me feel much more comfortable. Do any of these turns have gone through? Not yet.
Dead on!
I've always been like that. I've always been a little OCD about how I handle certain things in
I'll take a look.
games. Like I don't mind stealing things from chests, but I won't steal if I'm gonna if I'm gonna get caught, which morally makes no sense. But I don't know, just I have little weird hang-ups with how I play games, and I've had them my entire life, and I don't care at this point. I'm old enough. It doesn't bother me. I play games how I want, including my little foibles and weird ways of handling things, and Perfectly fine with it. Some people might think I play games too slow, but hell, I'm old, I am slow. A game that'll take a normal person 20 hours might take me 30 or 40 hours just because I'm not slow, I'm just thorough. I like to check every nook and cranny. But I'm partially slow just because, I'm in my 40s. My reflexes have slowed down, and I like being thorough. So I have zero problems with it.
I'll see what I can find.
Let's see what's inside the door. There's probably going to be a fight in here. Oh, maybe not. This small Orlan man appears to have pulled together some crates and scraps of cloth to make a rather sorry-looking little camp. The thick fur on his limbs is matted, and his clothes smeared with blackening grime. He looks startled as you enter, his eyes widening in alarm.
How do you do?
After a moment, however, he smiles weakly. Hello there. Wasn't expecting any visitors down in these parts. He glances around the dim room. What you doing down here? Aorn grimaces. I've been a little down on my luck lately. Didn't have anywhere to stay, so I thought I'd come down here. Nobody pokes around in the catacombs much. Not until you, anyways. Oh, I can't read any of that. Okay, let's talk about something else. Yes, let's. Anything else I could do for you? What can you tell me about these catacombs? Haven't explored too much of it, to be honest. Got lucky finding this little corner of it. But let me think. Well, the canal there, that's Grogan's canal. Grogan was the dwarf that planned the whole thing. It runs up through to Andra's gift, spills out into the sea there. Otherwise, it's just a lot of bones. There's the Warrens for people that can afford better, but it's all flooded now. The fancier folks, they have their own resting places down here. Drier places. The Dukes of the Deerwood are down here, actually, if you want to pay your respects. Yep, completely agree. Okay, so I have nothing else to talk to him about. Fishbone. So it just looks like somebody is down in their luck.
On the hunt.
Living how they have to. Let's make sure he doesn't count any of this as stealing. Still need money. No, he didn't consider it stealing. So I will consider not feeling guilty over it. Wobbly little tent is barely standing. Yeah, I discovered Twitch a few years ago, and it's, between me and my wife both loving to watch people on Twitch, it's supplanted 90% of our TV and movie watching. I like watching people play games. I like games. It's my main hobby. I like watching people play games. Sometimes it's more relaxing than playing them yourself. I love watching people play games. Even games I'm not even interested in. Once they've proven they have a personality that entertains, it's like, yeah, I don't care what you play at this point. Before we go down the stairs are probably to another level or something. Maybe not. Let's make sure there's nothing hidden, secreted among the rocks over here. Yeah, I've avoided PoE2 streams. Some of my favorite streamers streamed PoE2. And that's fine. I mean, I have plenty of other favorite streamers I like to watch. I just avoid the ones that play anything that I plan on playing. A dank spore. I have fought one of those before. Let's take them out. Okay, let's knock it down. Let's do that. He can keep attacking. Use that. And he can... Oh, I can't select him because he's charmed or confused at the moment. Oh, dead. Okay.
Need something?
Yeah, definitely agree.
Be quiet.
My wife loves playing Fortnite and watching Fortnite streamers. Battle Royale games not really my thing, but I'm just happy that she enjoys it. I'll watch Fortnite sometimes with her, but yeah, Battle Royale games just not my thing. I've tried watching it in PUBG, but yeah, my wife won't play anything else now. All the other games I've gotten for her that in series that she likes have all fallen by the wayside. Yeah, okay, I did look at that.
Brave thou Philotheles.
Okay, we'll try and knock him down. Everybody else can just melee. These guys are pretty weak.
Hey.
Huh?
Slow and silent.
A Wodeka hood. Got some weird sounds from the north. Oh, Sporlins. That's a troll. Okay, hold on. Back up.
That's not very helpful.
Oh crap, did I just attract them all? I did. Okay, time to break out the spells. Whittle down as much as I can before the masses get here. Let's change him into a Stelgar. Knock down him. No, knock down him.
Ready, one.
Knock down Troll. Attack Troll. Do another one of these. Okay, time to break out the spells. Is that a faux AoE? No, so that will affect my guys too. In that case, let's do bouncing missiles.
Following your lead.
Let's start hitting on that troll. Can this guy do something yet? No, he must still be stunned or... Oh, he's confused. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's use another bounding missile. Okay, he can finally knock something down.
Hey,
Oh, okay. My wyvern spell's available. Okay. Continue attacking that troll. Attack that. Attack that. Okay. This whole bunch just attack the Sporlin. This whole bunch attack the troll. Use a defensive measure on the wizard since he's got the troll's attention.
Let's hop. That's it.
Not a hard battle. A lot of enemies, but I think I'm kind of over leveled for this place anyways.
Slow. Silent.
Oh yeah, money problems are
Let's
quickly
go.
Brave
ending.
Darthilothieli.
Steady does it.
Where's this taken? Oh, okay, so this is just probably taking up this whole area.
I think I see something.
Need something?
How did you not get selected? I must have missed you.
Huh?
On the hunt.
Just like my gaming OCD won't let me leave any of this fog of war uncovered if I could reach it. So then it looks like there's a wall there or something I should be able to get through. Oh, I just didn't go in. There is a door. Okay, so I've explored all here, all here, all here. So I'm either safe to go to the Temple of Odeka or back out to the Copper Lane District, which is probably what I'll do. Let me look at the quest for Temple of Odeka. Maybe it's the main story quest? Yeah, it is the main story quest I have for that. Save in case there's a battle when we go inside.
I shall beat it.
I'll have it in no time. The work of a moment.
Settled!
Keeping quiet.
Oh yeah, plenty of gear to sell next time I'm hurting for cash.
Let's go!
This little Orlan druid guy's a pretty decent fighter.
Let's go!
I'm here.
Why was she so far behind?
Got an arrow for this one.
Quiet.
Goes to show you this, a game done right can get a lot of Kickstarter backers. Because my God, there's a lot of these tombstones cluttered around. Alright, let's head back up to the Copper Lane District. Looks like everything's been discovered. There's something going on over here, but there's no secret entrances I've been able to find. Maybe it's something else, a different section of catacombs that I'll get to later. Okay, so let's cross the bridge. This elderly man paces back and forth, taking short, hobbled steps. His gaze is distant, and beneath it are the dark rings of many restless nights. He appears to be having a conversation with someone who isn't there. And the way you fought, cutting down two at a time. We shared quite a victory, you and I. Who are you talking to? The man looks up at you, startled. By the flame. For just a moment, I thought I heard her. He put his hand on his chest, catching his breath. What troubles you? Just the memories of my youth and the Northwatch Rangers, trials and adventures from a lifetime ago. He shakes his head. Of late, the memory of lost battles and fallen friends has been especially vivid. Sounds like he's on his way out. Tell me about these memories. It's been nearly 16 years. We were known throughout the Deerwood then. We thought we'd adventure together forever, collecting coppers and inspiring songs. The wrinkles around his eyes deepened. That was until we faced Helig of Thine. Helig of Thine was the guy I just encountered. He was a wizard whose experiments in necromancy left a trail of bodies, some reanimated. From Solace Vale to Midwood, we tracked him as he fled towards the Valiant Republics, catching him just west of the Lake of Drowned Tombs. We were fools. Seasoned as we were not prepared for his foul magic. Our numbers were nothing against his power. A wiser man would have ordered a retreat, not me. By some curse of the gods, I was knocked out, and when I woke my rangers, my Ronya, they were all dead. He holds empty air in his arms. Who is Ronya? My friend, my comrade in arms, and my love. We'd planned to adventure together until we grew old enough to settle down and enjoy our fortunes. Young as we were, we couldn't imagine anything would tear us apart. I know this sounds like an old man's madness, but I hear her, a voice just over my shoulder, calling to me in my dreams. At night, I see her wandering the catacombs beneath the city, trying to escape. And that's where that guy is, too. Foolish as it sounds, I can't shake the idea that she's somehow down there, waiting for me. I've even ventured below, though it damn near cost me my life. He hesitates. Were I half the warrior I was in my youth, I'd search every grave and rat hole. As it is, I'm stuck with this feeble body and the agonizing notion that my love is somehow down there beyond my help. I'll search the catacombs for a sign of Ronya. Tears spring to the old man's eyes. There's an entrance just southwest of here, on the other side of the canal. He sniffs and wipes his eyes. You're truly a gift from their gods, if there's anything you can find of her. Okay, so I've got a quest to go down there, which I already know right where the guy is at. So let's go take care of this quest since we're in this area. To the catacombs we go. They were right there, so... You're Helig. Dalton sent me to look for Ronya. He leans back and bursts out into raucous laughter. His threadbare robes drift apart, revealing an amulet, and a ragged wound running from chest to throat. It spatters a black, viscous fluid on the floor with every cackle. That old fool's still alive? I do hope he still doesn't bear a grudge for that incident. It was so very long ago. Let's see, my character's not aggressive nor clever. He's stoic and rational, with a hint of benevolence, I think. Dalton believes that Rona's in the catacombs. What happened to you? What can you tell me about Dalton? What can you tell me about Dalton? That's good. Only that's a miracle or a joke of the gods that he's still alive. He picks a bloody crust from his beard. The only thing he loved more than his fetching lieutenant was the idea of his own legend. He said, "You killed Ronya and the rest of the Northwatch Rangers." Did he mention that they hunted me down like a rabid dog? He adjusts his moth-eaten robes. I just wanted to continue my studies. Attitudes towards animacy were not what they are now, and necromancers have never met with much acceptance. But they're corpses now, and so am I. Surely that's all well enough behind us. Do you know where Ronya is? He seems to restrain another bout of chuckling. Oh, you could say that. If you were to retrieve my grimoire from Mordred, I'll let you in on the secret. Alright, what do you need me to do? When animacy started gaining popularity, I came to Defiance Bay in hopes of finding a place where my research would meet with more acceptance. Worked at the Brackenbury Sanitarium for a few months when I met Mordred. He splits a gob of black blood on the floor. Let's just say Mordred and I didn't see eye to eye. Got so bad we were threatening to kill each other on a daily basis. Obviously, that bastard made good on his threat. He runs a jagged fingernail along his oozing wound, sank a dagger into my chest while sleeping, and dumped my body in the catacombs. I'm stoic, so you're standing here now. I preserved my mind and my memories with Engwithian magic and a few timely preparations. He looks at his rotted hands. Yet now my soul's anchored to this decaying husk. His claw-like hands clench into fists. Mordred stole life from me and left me with this wretched corpse, and this craving. He clutches his stomach and glances at you hungrily, but only for a second. Mordred keeps all that is precious to him in a trunk in his laboratory, just as he stole my grimoire. He offers you a key of a claw-like hand. On your way to Brackenbury Sanitarium, then. Bring me my grimoire and my revenge, and you can have your Ronya. He chokes on a burbling chuckle. Obviously, she's going to be undead in some form or something. If there's nothing else beyond your way. Yeah, I'll appease him for now. Sounds fine to me. Help one, help the other. It's true what he said, though. Probably no good sides to either of this fight between the Thane and Animancer and the Northwatch Ranger guy up north, or up top. Probably wrong done on both sides. That's usually the way in most disagreements. Neither party's innocent. But first, before we do any of these quests, we finish exploring this part of the map. The Copper Lane.
Good day to you.
I'm still searching. Technically true. Let's see, let's look at the central arena. Oh, so it's like a play. Cool. The statuesque woman has a gaze that could cut stone. She turns her chiseled cheekbones to the sky and favors you with a look of acknowledgement. Her eyes shimmer under silvered eyeshadow and a razor-precise line of kohl. Before you can speak, she throws her hand up in dramatic fashion.
How do you do?
Autographs after the performance, please. Great art requires great concentration, and greatness is expected from the Revel of Stars. What do you do? That depends entirely on the demands of the role. She lays a slender hand on her chest. I am the Pallid Knight, the Widow of the Wood, and the Warrior Queen Makka at all different times. To live a different life each day is a glorious thing indeed, my friend. I suppose I could spare a moment for our fan. What is the Revel of Stars? We are the finest theater troupe in the city. We believe that the best art is immersive and true to life. She looks at the amphitheater with a rapturous expression. We stage our performances right here in Copper Lane for the edification of all. Does the Revel of Stars take in many new members? But of course, good drama is a balm to the soul, and we wish to offer a true theatrical experience to as many as possible. What kind of members do you take? We'll take in the new and the old, the tall and the small, the experienced and inexperienced, whoever is best suited to fulfill a role to the utmost. How long do you keep members? As long as they are able to satisfy the demands of their roles. She smooths a wayward strand of hair. True acting can be a grueling process, so some last longer than others. Alright, farewell.
That's unusual.
Hey,
How may I help?
I shall.
I?
Books hold so many answers, yet you cannot merely ask them a question aloud. You must pore through the pages and hunt for knowledge yourself. I like to think of libraries as way shrines to WoW.
Gods keep you.
The woman barely glances up from the tomes on the table as you approach. You're welcome to browse the stacks, but mind that you keep your voice down. This is still a temple, after all, and Grimden doesn't tolerate disorder. Tell me about yourself. She throws her broad shoulders back. I'm a scrivener and devotee of Whale. It's my duty to look after our records and resources. Her chest swells with pride. Anything else? This is a temple. It looks like a library. Her eyes grow wide and round. That's because it is. Whale's the god of mysteries and answers, encryption and decryption, concealment and revelation. She raises her hands to the rows of shelves. Its guidance comes from the understanding of the unknown and the protection of hidden knowledge. The Hall of Revealed Mysteries was built to celebrate that. To think there's such a place in the Dyrwood. Incredible. I'd love a glimpse of the archives. How many secrets must sit upon these shelves? Fascinating. Isn't it? Temples dedicated to Wheel tend to hold vast stores of knowledge. We use that knowledge to unravel and preserve the mysteries of the world. Who's Grimda? Fexa speaks reverently. Why, she's the High Archivist. She's one of the most accomplished scholars alive today. Nothing goes on here without her knowing about it. Almost nothing, anyways. She scratches behind her ear. You should probably tread lightly around her today. Okay.
Keeping quiet.
Can I take these books? Let's just check and see. I want to create a library in my stronghold. I've been caught stealing. Load game. We are not going to have that. So you can look at the books, but you can't take. Duly noted. You see nothing at first, inky darkness filling your vision. The dust of eons flooding your nose. You hear a strike, and a torch gutters into flame, revealing a man without a face and a library of books flickering in the dull orange glow. He moves to the closest shelf, sliding the torch into a socket, and gingerly pulls a black-bound book into his trembling hands. He flicks through it lovingly, caressing each page before turning to the next, and the next. Finally, he finishes, placing the book in a satchel to his side, and takes down the torch. He spends hours wandering, reading, collecting, until his satchel is as thick as he himself, and half as heavy, and begins to make his way back to the entrance. With a barely audible sigh, he draws two decaying doors closed, and the torch is extinguished.
Hello.
An elderly dwarf surveys the stacks. Her skin looks as tough and wrinkled as a walnut. Despite her stature, she manages to look down her nose at you. You're welcome to look around, but let the priests and scriveners continue their search. She shoots the nearest robed figure a withering glare. Wouldn't do to give them any other excuses. What are they looking for? Maybe I could find it. She sizes you up, stroking her chin. Could you now? She scowls at the robed priest again. You certainly couldn't do worse than this lot anyways. Thieves made off with an ancient scroll of Whale. They intend to blaspheme by selling that which should remain hidden, a secret of the 100 Visions. Her wiry eyebrows arc over her spectacles. The guards caught one of them, but were overzealous in their interrogation. All they could piece together was something about a farmhouse on the road to Deerford. Track the thieves down. I don't care what you do with them, but bring back the scroll. Whale rewards the persistent seeker, and so do I. An ancient scroll of Whale. There's a fine prize. I mean, a worthy task. What else do you need? Let's question about the missing scroll. Tell me what you know about the thieves. Very little, except that they were foolish to believe they could steal from the god of secrets. That, and they were fleeing to a farmhouse. How should I handle the thieves? However you can. Kill them, rob them, leave them. It makes no difference to me. She waves a hand and smiles grimly. I'll consider it one of Whale's mysteries. What's so special about this scroll? Whale's the god of secrets. If I told you that, I'd cheapen it, wouldn't I? She cackles. It's a parable. The kind that nourishes the inquisitive mind and poisons the foolish. Let's talk about something else. Tell me about yourself. I am the High Archivist of Hall of Revealed Mysteries, she coughs loudly into her fist, and I'm too old and too busy to be bothered with inane questions. Even just one or two, Canna sighs. I would like to know more about Whale. Her smile reveals a row of crooked teeth. That's the rub, isn't it? Whale's the god of things hidden and revealed. The more of the 100 Visions one sees, the more one has yet to discover. Though we often call Whale he who sees and is not seen, it is neither male nor female. To assign any definitive characteristic to Whale is to miss another essential part of its divinity. 100 Visions, a term of reverence for Whale's many revelations. Despite the name, they're infinite. Each epiphany leads to yet another enigma. And I thought I was busy. Farewell. Retrieve the scroll. Quests out the yin-yang. That's okay. Some of these sound like smaller quests. Just have to actually do them. Actually, I can go in there if I want to. I have the lockpicking ability. Let's see if he pitches a fit.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Oh yes, they become enemies. I was wondering about that. So we will not go in there. I would imagine she might give us access once we get the scroll back.
You have said you fought in the Saints' War, but for which side?
The one that blew up my god.
I didn't mean anything by it. I imagine a man with a head made of fire and light could be very convincing.
Funny thing about Deerwoodens. With all that fire and light, they just treated him like another authority figure.
You see a small crowd gathering near the entrance to a temple. This man stands against the wall, the crowd forming a semicircle around him. He speaks with a calm, measured tone, his soothing voice carrying over the sounds of the surrounding city. He speaks of the world, history, the gods, and religion. He speaks of cooking, brewing, child-raising, and old wives' tales. There does not seem to be a subject he lacks at least a passing knowledge in. People ask him questions, and he answers them in turn, sometimes being detailed and in depth, other times only giving a general answer. Regardless of what is said, all of his answers seem to hit the heart of what was asked, each person satisfied with what they've learned. People come and go from the crowd, its size growing and shrinking, but never completely dissipating. Sorry. I have trouble pronouncing that word. Hours pass and he never seems to tire, sharing his knowledge with anyone who would benefit from it. As the light of day wanes, the group finally growing small enough that he draws everything to a close. As he gathers his belongings and prepares to leave, a man approaches him, asking why he does this. He asks for no money, no food, what benefit is gained from his actions. He looks at the man, gathering his thoughts, then simply tells him, "Knowledge brings wisdom. That is my faith." You see a dark room, its contents in disarray. The blinds are pulled against the light, and the sounds of shouting and running can be heard outside. This man moves through a house, throwing items into a bag. He wraps up some food, collects some clothes, and searches through a chest for various odds and ends that resemble magical components. He stops at a bookshelf and quickly scans the spines, running his fingers along them to help keep his place. He sighs, sliding his fingers across the spines again, mumbling to himself. Finally, he chooses a couple of titles and takes them from the shelf, adding them to the assortment of items he has already gathered. A small group of squirrels and birds watch him as he passes through the rooms, moving almost as a single entity. They are trying to stay near him, but also seem to know to stay out of his way. He is obviously in a hurry, but he maintains a deliberate demeanor about everything he does. The outer door bursts open with an explosive sound, causing the animals to scatter, terrified. The man turns, bringing a hand up, holding a book in his other, whispering something that barely can be heard. Ice crystals begin to form at the tips of his fingers, crackling against the heat of the room. He sees the man standing in the doorway and immediately drops his hands, the ice vanishing as quickly as it appeared. The man in the doorway gestures, telling him to hurry, and points toward the horizon somewhere outside. The man in the house dismisses him with a wave, saying he is almost done here and will be coming soon. He scans the dwelling one more time, searching for something he might have missed. Satisfied, he leaves, not even bothering to close the door. Outside, he could see people, all prepared as he is, traveling away from town, away from the rising plumes of smoke on the horizon. Okay. Another building. Let's check it out. Spilled tea, empty ink pots, and one detailed sketch of a fire-breathing old dwarf are all the remains of a long study session.
Hello? Hello?
It's not stealing if they don't see you. Corinne, I wonder if they named this guy after Deathgate Cycle books.
Good day, stranger.
By Whale's eyeless face, you're one short ogre. But why are you green, and how are you getting the ducks to keep flying around like that? Let me guess, you smoked a lot of white leaf, or did you get your hands on some snowcap? He claps his hand and laughs. Snowcap, snowcap. So few people know snowcap, much less ogres. He beams at you and nods his head. You're a scrivener? He nods. Yes, I am a scrivener. I read books, I write books. I once ate a book, but only because it looked like a sweet pie. Or perhaps it was the sweet pie baked to look like a book. Interesting. Oh. I'm also a collector of herbs, flowers, plants. I sell them. Mostly I eat them. Show me what you have for sale. right?
Hello.
Tell me about the dormitory. It's where the Scriveners who work at the Hall of Revealed Mysteries sleep. I'm a Scrivener, he sniffed. This place smells like old stockings. Okay.
Yeah.
I shall be quiet as a calm sea, which is not very quiet.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
I just stole his mushrooms. Stole mushrooms, man. Alright, looks like I'm done with this area. This might be the house where the guy and his friends hid his wife.
Let's see what lies this way.
Maybe, maybe not. We'll see. See a book, a potion, which can go to him, and more money. Alright, I'm back in good shape money-wise, that's good. I don't have the key for that, okay. Give him some spells and traps as well. Let's look here. Fine scale armors, medium armor. Okay, so nothing really for that. Dying Boar, +5 endurance while endurance is below 33% every 3 seconds. +12 will while endurance below. So this is something that's good for if they're in danger. Let's give that to her. I guess that means I don't have the key to whatever this room is for, so I can come back later.
Your brother, did you and he get along?
We got along how brothers do. He used to throw water on me to wake me up in the morning. I used to fill his boots with stinging ants.
My own brothers and sisters are doing very well for themselves. back in Takoa. I don't know that they'd search for me if I were killed so far from home.
Brothers can be funny. I bet you'd be surprised how far they'd go.
Okay, so now I can access that. Mad Mare, the other side of that zone. Okay. That's good to know. There was some... I did a quest earlier that was supposed to give me some benefit. Thought it was Lundala. But it might not be. I don't know. I guess I'll find out eventually. This is the house with the quest inside. The guy's friends hit his wife or something. She doesn't want anything to happen to him. Yeah, well. So they're a bunch of druggies.
I shall be discreet.
Let's explore before we do anything for Persnick. Let's wait for that mercenary to go away.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Yeah.
The guard holds up a hand as you approach. You can turn right back around. The lower floor is all yours, but nobody goes upstairs. Why not? Because you'll be breathing through new holes in your neck if you head up there. That's why. Just mind your own business. Once you're on the Swift, you're not going to much care where you are anyways. Fine, I'll be gone. I may come back after I deal with Pernisk. Maybe to try the resolve option.
Greetings.
The man before you flashes a toothy and rather unpleasant grin. Well now, a new face. Welcome, friend. Name's Pernisk, and this, he gestures to the room around you, is my humble abode and place of business. And I do hope you're in here to do some business. He glances at the nearby guard. What is your business exactly? If you have to ask, Pernisk smirks. Let's be clear. You go run into the guards, you're going to regret stepping foot in this place. In fact, I'd put even odds on your regret in every decision you made in your life to leave you standing in front of me right now. His face shivers with a quick, unreadable emotion. But you stay smart, and I figured we can end up very good friends. You can ask my previous customers. They'll vouch for my supply. He grins. I keep it simple. If you have the coin, I have the Sveth. If you're free to make use of the premises, you're free to make use of the premises as long as you don't do anything stupid and you don't go tangling with the other customers. Now, person that claps his hands in the air. What can I get you? What is Sveth? You serious? Persnick eyes you with suspicion, then disbelief. Sveth's worth every pound, my friend. It's incredible. Lets you see your own soul. And you're looking at Defiance Base first and foremost, Sveth merchant. Let me have a look at your stock. I'm not gonna buy the drugs from him. I didn't give him the ring.
Well met, friend.
Give him Kana's ring. Kana asked me to give you this. Persnick takes the ring and turns around his finger. Nice. What's this for? You don't recognize the wedding band you gave Kana? Persnick laughs. Oh yeah, I see now. She's making a statement, is she? Good riddance to her, then. Sorry I ever spent the coin to begin with. Now, is that all? Seems a difficult thing to forget, giving your grandmother's ring to someone. That's the rational, and my character's rational, so I'll do that. Maybe she's just not worth remembering, eh? Persnick snorts. While you're playing lapdog for her and all, why don't you go back and tell her to keep clear of here? She seemed to care for you. Why are you doing this? Plenty of stars in the sky. Tell her to go set up in the salty mast if she's feeling lonely. Persnick shrugs. Me and her are done. Let's talk about something else. You really don't know when to drop the subject, do you? Fine, what about her? I need to go upstairs, I think. Something's not right here.
Ready, Watcher.
Except for the ranged who can attack him. Stop! Nirud staggers back, holding a bloody hand in front of him. I give up. Just leave and I'll go peacefully, alright? Too late.
Right.
Give that to him. Give that to him to look at.
Nice and slow.
So it's a good chance that Persnick was killed. Oodles of money, though. My money issues are over for quite a while. Time to go take a look-see upstairs.
Nice and slow.
Sure.
Concussion. Yeah, he's fine. Fine great sword, fine flail, fine spear, fine stiletto, fine small shield, and a rusty bronze key.
Steady does it.
Appears though someone rummaged through this uneven row of books in a hurry. Drawers are chipped and cracked. Adrian dialects. To be honest, none of these are probably upgrades, but let me take a look. Yeah, none of these are upgrades. Let's learn what spells we can. Put that in there too, then. The real Persnick. I knew something was up. A man lies, bound and bloodied, on the floor before you. His face is a tapestry of bruises, and blood is spattered across several corners of the room. The man cringes and sobs as you approach. Gods, please, please, no more. I can't take any more. I'm not here to hurt you. The man pauses, gazing up at you. You're not... Oh, praise Bareth, you're not one of his men, are you? He glances nervously behind you. He shakes his head. Please, I don't know who you are, but my name is Pernisk. This is my house. You have to help me. Then who is that downstairs? An imposter, some wizard named Nerid. He came into my house, tied me up in here, tortured me. And now he and his men are eating my food, breaking my things, selling Zveth. Inside my own house. He blinks. He's hiding something. Rational, too. Persnick looks away, unable to meet your gaze. You figured me out even faster than my supplier. I may have hung on to a tiny portion of his share, but I needed that money. What exactly happened? He sent over the wizard, Nerid, the man downstairs. Persnick shudders. To make up the lost copper, I guess, and to hurt me while he was at it. It feels like it's been days. He's already taken care of. Persnick stares at you. I can't believe this nightmare is finally over. He grins weakly, then seems to remember something. You've no idea what you've done for me, but... He looks up at you and away again. I need to find my love, Khaenra. Only after whatever Nyrid put her through, I'm afraid she won't give me a chance to explain. But she might listen to you. Please, she must be somewhere in Copper Lane. It's the only home she's known. Party gained experience. Please, don't tell her about the Sith. About what I do. I could make it worth your while. A discount, maybe. Not 3. Honest. Khaenra sent me here in the first place. She did. Persnick smiles brightly. That woman helped save my life without realizing it. Please bring her home and tell her that everything is back to normal. I'll go talk to her. I can't thank you enough, truly, how I missed my poor Khaenra. Oh, but she's going to know the truth, if I'm given the option. Now that I've got some gold under my belt, I probably need to start another stronghold component building. Purchase the dungeons. Let's get this quest done.
I grew up in Gilded Vale.
Quaint. That's what I meant to call it.
No, you had it right.
You see a dark figure moving quickly around the room, grabbing items and placing them. Okay, this is a new one. Placing them in a sack. It started out similar to a previous soul search, so I wanted to make sure it was not the same one, just in a different part due to the daytime. The room is in complete disarray. This elf is lying on the floor in the middle of the room. Her breath comes in shallow, hitching gasps, and her face is wet with tears. Her head slowly tilts to the side, her attention drawn to the noise on the far side of the room. She watches the figure move about, removing all valuables from the chest. She slowly lifts her hands from her stomach, bringing them in front of her face. Her head shakes weakly as she turns back to look at her fingers, covered in her own blood. Her breath hitches again as she lets out a quiet mewling sound. The dark figure stops its search and turns to look at her, hisses something at her. The figure walks back to the elf and stands over her. tilting its head as if it had completely forgotten she was there until she made the sound. He kneels next to her, stares at her unfocused eyes, and reaches out a hand to her stomach. Without a word and without breaking his gaze, he pushes two of his fingers into the gaping wound in her abdomen. Her mouth widens in a silent scream, a rictus of pain etched on her face. In a moment, her entire body goes limp as she succumbs to the pain and faints. The figure stands, staring at her one final time, then spits on her before turning to leave. Okay, let's go wrap this quest up, and we're also going to rest at the inn. Shouldn't be that expensive. One of my guys' health is dangerously low, so...
Hail and well met.
Could I get a room? I'll show you what I got. Common room, 25 copper, that's fine. Kenra looks up at you as you approach. What happened with Pernisk? Did you give him the ring? Persnick was being impersonated by a powerful wizard. However, the real Persnick also deals with. Honest. Yeah, she's gonna know the truth. She blinks at you, stunned. I had no idea. Pernisk. She brings her fist down on the table, sloshing her drink. Damn it, how can I trust him after something like this? That he's lied to me for this long. She runs her hands through her hair and takes a deep breath. I should just be glad I found out about this before the wedding. Let's go with rational or stoic. Let's do stoic. You're right. I think that is what I needed to realize. Thank you. Defiance-based, slight positive. Oh, and take this. She unclasped something from her neck. Picked it up from one of the merchants to help me stand firm in my decision. I'll be fine without it now. Big experience. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay, that can go there. Let's go take a look at Persnick's house and finish out this map area. I also want to look at the stronghold to see if one of the turns went down. Yep, it did. One more turn left. Persnick's house. Persnick coughs as you approach. His cheeks are hollow and his eyes are red. Hello again. I have some goods here if you want to buy. Let me see what you have. So he's still smelling swift. What a scum. Good that she left him. Good on her. You see a small band of people walking down a rutted road surrounded by a thick forest. This man walks alongside them, chatting and joking like they were lifelong friends. Though his appearance is one of frivolity, his jovial facade is betrayed by the occasional sideways glance into the dense tree line. There is a noise from the trees around them, the sound of someone breaking a twig. The man holds up his hand, silencing the travelers and destroying the light-hearted tone of the evening. They look around, worried expressions on their faces. Gathering closer together, the man motions to the group to stay where they are and heads into the trees. There is silence for several seconds as they all strain to hear anything, clutching one another nervously. There's another rustling, this time coming from the direction the man entered the woods. A single figure emerges from the tree line and the group visibly relaxes, seeing him approach. The figure comes close enough for the group to see his face, and one of them lets out a cry of dismay when they realize this is not their friend. No sooner has the sound left his mouth than another group emerges from the woods, weapon drawn, surround the travelers. As none of them are armed or in any state to fight, they are quickly subdued, bound, and relieved of their valuables. With a laugh, the bandits disappear back into the woods, leaving their quarry on the road. Safely back inside the forest, they meet up with the man. He smiles, mocking the gullibility of people who will trust a complete stranger as long as he buys them a drink. He takes a share of the spoils and leaves. You see a man stumble, knees bleeding, clothes torn, eyes dead. His skin is damp with sweat, but he pushes onward. His back is arched, defeated. At his side hangs a bow, strings limp from disuse. He trips through the undergrowth sightless, ignoring all but the sound of his own anguish. He comes across a deer, guts spilled out across the forest floor, still steaming in the cold night air. A Stelgar watches him from above, perched on the trunk of an enormous fallen tree. It takes the man a moment to notice his danger, and he seems almost glad for it. The Stelgar unravels itself from the tree, eyeing him carefully. Its distended stomach almost brushes the ground as it jumps down, and the man dives to meet it. For a moment, time seems to slow as man and beast collide. The Stelgar roars, swiping at him with its claws, and soon has him pinned, great yellow teeth and acrid breath ready to end his intrusion. But with a wet ripping sound instead, the agonized Stelgar is himself gutted from neck to rump. The man exhales deeply, covered in blood, ponders, "Not today, not today." You see me a dimly lit room with extravagant decoration. Pillows of silk brocade cover the floor surrounding a large velvet-covered divan. A man sits on the divan, his shirt untucked and only halfway buttoned. Behind him stands this elf, dressed in the same lavish finery as decorates the room. Her hips gyrate gently, dancing slowly around the man as she begins to sing. He looks up at her blearily, intoxication clouding his vision. He smiles, tunelessly humming along with her. Her words are too low to hear clearly, but as her singing grows more intense, the lights in the room seem to dim even farther, and everything loses focus. She takes his face in her hands, singing directly to him, running her hands down his shoulders and arms until she is holding his hands. The man's eyes grow heavy, and he quickly succumbs to sleep, slumping backwards. She holds his arms, catching him as he falls, and gently lays him down across the divan. She stops singing when his head hits the pillow, and suddenly the lights brighten back up, and everything snaps back into focus. She slips her hand into his jacket, retrieving an item that she places in a small box sitting on a nearby table. She looks back at the man, shakes her head, and escapes into the night.
Yes? Hail and well met.
The merchant smiles brightly. Well met, traveler. Are you interested in purchasing any rations for your journeys? Are you selling a dagger made of March steel? Number blinks at you. Apologies, but I sell no weapons here. Only fruits, vegetables, and meat. Would you be interested in any of those? Show me your wares.
Gods keep you.
Hello.
The young woman stands by a cart, watching the crowd with large, bright eyes that focuses on you as you approach. Take your time, traveler. If you're looking for enchanted scrolls or garb, you've come to the right place. Are you selling a dagger made of March steel? She stands on the tip of her toes and points to a stall between the stairs. You must be looking for Igrin. See that tall Amo over there? He sells weaponry. Anything else I could do for you? Show me your wares. The Orlin woman bounces up and down as you approach. Remember me? We met by Madmer Bridge. She slaps you playfully on the shoulder. Thanks for helping me out back there. As promised, I'll give you the best prices in town. If it weren't for you, I'd still be broke. Show me your wares. Good prices. Have plenty of traps. Don't need anything right now.
Welcome.
Igrin stands behind a stall, polishing a broadsword. The patterned flesh around his eyes is crinkled with age, and the muscles in his arms are knotty and lean, but he holds the weapon with ease. He nods at you. Come to take a look? You won't find a finer collection of armor and weaponry in Defiance Bay. Outside Solnid's, of course. He flashes a crooked grin. What's so special about Solnild? She operates in the expedition hall. He jerks a thumb over her shoulder, sells the best equipment in the city, but Wenin keeps her on a short leash, keeps her fine inventory reserved for chartered expeditions, members of the dozens, and anyone else he takes a liking to. I'm looking for a particular dagger made of March steel, just like the Crucible Knights use. Let me guess, you've been talking to that kid, right? He laughs and shakes his head. I'd be tempted to sell it to you anyways and let the little rascal learn his lesson, but a pack of adventurers already took it off my hands. Intellect 12. If March steel dagger's only given to Crucible Knights, how did you get your hands on one? Ignorant pauses mid-polish, his cloth slowing over the blade. A lot of steel passes through my hands, friend. I don't make it my business to ask where it all comes from. Fair enough, I don't mean to pry. Anything in particular you'd like to see? Those adventurers you sold the dagger to, where are they now? Folks like that only visit Copperlane to crew up at Admeth Sten Expedition Hall, or down a pint at the Goose and Fox. And since they weren't headed into the den, well, you've got my best guess. Tell me more about the dagger. He holds the cloth in his hand, made out of a high-purity iron ore that comes out of the White March Mountains. Traditionally, the smiths at the Crucible Keep have smelted it into daggers and swords, which they only give to the Knights of the Crucible. Of course, I'd be surprised if that kid didn't already tell you all this, he grins. Let me see what you have for sale. I'm not going to buy any of this stuff right now.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's finish exploring. You see an immaculate inn, dark wood counters gleaming, patrons rowdy and smiling. Two men stand behind the bar, joke as they pour drinks. Features so similar they must be siblings. The younger snatches up an armful of drinks and walks them around the room, chatting happily as he hands out orders. Just as he sets down the final ale and turns around, a red-faced Amoa charges through the door, trailed by three sour-looking elves, slamming directly into him. The Amoa growls, knocking the young man out of the way, and demands an ale from the brother behind the bar. The man refuses, and the rest of the bar falls silent, sensing trouble. The older brother again asks the Amoa to leave, the younger brother placing a firm hand on his back and pushing him towards the door, and the scene freezes. With a sickening crack, the man is knocked backwards into the wall, neck snapping backward before he falls to the floor. He does not get up. The action is immediate as the other patrons come to the barman's aid, dragging the Amoa and his companions out the back, but the damage is done. The carpet oozes with blood, slowly seeping into its fibers as one brother dies and the other falls to his knees, horror piercing his eyes. By the time he gets up, the Amoa is long gone. You see two men walking slowly down a stone corridor. They move cautiously, frequently looking behind themselves. One of them is this man, who stops, bringing a piece of parchment closer to his light enchanted helmet so he can read it, while the other keeps walking, glancing over his shoulder. The first man looks up from his parchment in the middle of a sentence and stops, his expression changing from caution to fear. He starts to call out a warning, but is too late. The Zorb, who appeared from the darkness before them, rushes forward and pushes its small sword into the stomach of the other man. It then squeals, seemingly repulsed by what is happening, and quickly backs away, leaving the sword protruding from the man's abdomen. Parchment falling from his hands, he leaps forward, catching his friend as he falls. The wound isn't serious. In fact, it doesn't even look like the blade has gone far into his flesh. The man turns his attention back down the hall, looking for signs of movement. Nothing reemerges from the darkness, so he stands and strides down the hall, determination etched on his face, sword and shield at the ready. The corridor starts to widen. As he enters, a whining yowl erupts from the darkness at the far side of the room. He slows, inching forward towards the sound. The light reveals a Zorb against the wall, holding a smaller one behind it with one arm. The larger Zorb has placed itself between him and the smaller one, attempting to shield the child with its body. The determination fades from the man's countenance as he lowers the shield and sheathes the sword. Putting up his hands, he slowly backs away, leaving the Zorb to care for its young. When the room narrows back into the corridor, he stops. Reaching into his pouch, he removes some rations and places them on the ground before returning to his friend. Let's see what's in here. Hello. Hello, Kira Kitty.
I'll have it in no time. The work of a moment.
I'll take a look.
Right, everyone know the plan? Up the wall and in the window. Grab the jewel for the pretty little lord. We got it. Listen, dwarf, if I have to... Langdon, we have company. Greetings. The dwarf eyes you suspiciously and hides his pistol behind his back. You looking for someone? Because this isn't the best. Langdon rounds on the dwarf. Idiot, they're probably with the Crucible Knights. You've made a grave mistake coming here. He raises his blade.
Ready.
Maybe you should have talked to me before attacking.
I'm on the trail.
Our contact inside Raymount Manor will leave a second-story window ajar. He confirmed the location of the heart of the White March in a hidden chamber. Get your crew together and head to Brackenbury before Lord Raymount moves the jewel.
Sure.
What do you suppose that bally thing is?
I think I see something.
The work of a moment.
Muddy boot prints and splotches of ale stain the bed sheets. Pardon me. Let's see, all I have left is the expedition hall, I believe.
I shall be discreet.
Admeth's Den.
The dozens may not like us foreigners much, but they certainly don't mind taking our coin.
So I can look at books, I just can't take them if I'm quote-unquote stealing. A well-groomed man steps through the hall with a confident swagger, a smug grin etched on his face. He's flanked by 5 other hard-looking individuals. One of his companions eyes you for a moment before spit and chew at your feet. Another pup come wandering in, I see. Just know that Billings Giant Slayers run things around here and you'll be fine. Never heard of him. His eyes narrow. You have now. Stick around to find Spain, you will again. Plenty of bounties to go around, but there's a reason the Giant Slayers get the lion's share. Remember that. A voice bellows across the hall. Enough jabber, Bine. You gonna do the job or talk about it? Bine the nimble. His jaw tightens. Wenon's right. That coin ain't going to collect itself. He looks at his comrades and jerks his chin towards the door. See you around, pup. Please.
Yeah.
I could take you guys, no problem.
Don't stand on ceremony. State your business.
Wenon's expression becomes serious, the timbre of his voice deepening. Good men and women trying to walk in the footsteps of great men and women who came before us. We're a loose association of warriors and expeditionaries in the Deerwood. Not as fancy as the Crucible Knights, mind you, but at least we remember our roots. At least they remember someone else's roots and pretend to be like them, he means. Your roots? Crucible Knights take pride in having won the Deerwood's freedom 150 years ago, but we're the ones who've protected it. Everyone knows that the Saints' Wars ended when the Godhammer destroyed Waidwen at Avondare Bridge. A lot of folks don't know how Waidwen wound up on that bridge. 7 men, 5 women, they walked out of Halga Citadel and faced down a god. Held him there until the bomb went off. He thumps the table. That's the legacy we defend. Some call us mercenaries, but we don't need matching armor and silky cloaks to remember our roles. We're the same now as we were then. We stand up for the people. First line of defense, whatever it takes. We got new enemies now. If it's not Waidwen, it's his damned legacy. It's the damn soul butchers and Brackenberry making things worse on all of us. Probably causing the whole thing one way or another. Well, we haven't gone anywhere, and there's a lot more than 12 of us now. We defended Deerwood once. We'll do it again. Withen casually nods your way. His eyes continue to float from mercenary to mercenary to speak. What else do you need? I'm looking for work.
Go see Osric. He's usually got something. You do well for him, maybe I can find you more.
Farewell. You see 3 human boys walking through a city street, pushing each other and joking with one another. They stop, one of them pointing down the road, and look at each other. This Orlan, though younger and smaller, is the target of their attention. She has a handful of coins as she passes from hand to hand and is moving towards the marketplace. The boys move quickly, working their way around her through the crowd until they form a line in front of her, herding her into a shadowy corner away from the main thoroughfare. The boys taunt her, accusing her of stealing the coins, talking over her protests of innocence. They threaten her, telling her they'll turn her over to the City Watch for thievery if she doesn't give them the coins because they can help at least 3 unfortunates with the money. One of the boys reaches for the coins, but she pulls her hand back. He cuffs the side of her head and grabs her hand, forcing it open, letting the coins drop into his palm. The boys laugh, thanking her for her service, then disappear into the crowd. Though Orlan looks around, tears welling in her eyes. She spies a member of the watch and runs over, telling him that she was just robbed. The guard is unmoved, informing her that if he helps, she's just going to let it happen again next time. She protests, telling him that it's his job to help, but the guard is unmoved and unmoving. She stares at him for quite some time, fury burning behind her small eyes. Without saying another word, she turns and storms off, her face set with resolution. You see this Orlan cautiously making his way down a dark stone corridor. His eyes are wide and is constantly looking over his shoulder, every noise making him jump. He appears dressed for something. Dressed for adventuring, but his armor is ill-fitting and his pack refuses to stay on his back. Another sound reaches his ears from behind him, and he spins around, peering into the darkness, trying to discern the source of the noise. He stands there for several seconds, holding his breath, staring. When nothing happens, he lets out a relieved sigh and turns to continue walking. His pack slips from his shoulder. Oh, the puppy came in and joined me. Hi, Lilo. Hi. His pack slips from his shoulder and cooking implements tumble out, sending a clattering din down the quiet hall. He freezes, listening in the tomb's silent aftermath of the accident. Booming footsteps reach his ears from behind him. He lets out a little squeal and runs away from the approaching creature, clattering through his spilled gear. The footsteps speed up and the Orlan squeals again, hurrying down the hall. There's a guttural growl close behind him, and he turns to see an ogre emerge from the darkness behind him. The squeal becomes a yell, and he puts his head down and breaks into a run. The ogre steps on the spilled gear and lets out a bellow of pain, breaking stride and looking down at its foot as it continues to hop forward. Panicked, the Orlan hits a tripwire, pulled across the corridor without even noticing it there. It knocks his feet out from under him, and he stumbles to the floor, rolling a bit before ending up on his back. He lifts his head slightly and looks down the hall. The ogre has regained its stride and is running at him, hand out, intent on grabbing him. Both Orlan and ogre, unaware of the battle axe swinging a deadly arc through the air, accidentally tripped by the Orlan. The axe buries itself in the ogre's face, stopping it in its tracks. Hand extended, blood making a trail down his face and dripping to the floor. The Orlan stares wide-eyed as the ogre goes limp, its weight slowly pulling it off the axe with a wet sucking sound. It comes loose and falls, eliciting a final squeal from the Orlan, who scoots backwards to avoid getting squashed by the falling ogre's head. After a few moments processing what just happened, the Orlan quickly scrambles over the ogre's body and runs down the hall towards the exit.
I'll have it in no time.
Gods keep you.
The woman looks up from polishing a dagger. Haven't seen you before. You headed out with an expedition company? She raises an eyebrow. Or are you betting on one? How long have you worked at Admiral's Den? She leans on the countertop and drums her fingers. Oh, a few years. I got in the minute the last merchant cleared out. She nods toward the main area of the hall. They've got new expeditions venturing out every week. So this is a great place to do business. And the dozens make loyal friends and loyal customers, so long as you stick by them. She taps the counter. The vendor who was here before me, they ran him out when he sold his best helms to a pair of Crucible Knights. I've been careful not to make the same mistake. Tell me about the expeditions. They're groups of adventurers that venture into the wilderness. More than a few of them try their luck scouring the ruins. Most of them come back empty-handed, if they come back at all. Betting on them is almost as risky as actually going. But that's how the expeditions get funded, and every once in a while, one of the adventuring companies will strike it big and make a fortune for their backers. Can I buy something? I'm afraid not. See, the dozens only do business with me so long as I only do business with them, and they're good customers. She jerks her thumb at the door, but if you get on Alstric's good side, he could make an exception for you. He's probably training some of the new recruits right now. Alright.
Quiet.
Nobody's here to see me do it, so it doesn't count as stealing, technically.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Geological map.
I'll see what I can do. The work of a moment.
Yeah. Sure. Mm-hmm.
For the last time, Aidwig, keep your fucking blade up. If that dummy was armed, it'd have your head off. You want an expedition? Talk to Wenham. I just handle these mercenary shit shovelers. Adventurers, I mean.
Although he sizes you up, I do have something I need done, something that requires competence. What do you need
I
done?
was formerly one of the Knights of the Crucible. When I left, they kept my arms and armor. The arms they can have, but the armor belonged to my family. I'd like it back. You don't choose to leave knighthood. The Crucible Knights, they may not be a real knighthood, but the oaths you swear are just as true. Still, turns out that even unofficial knighthoods have politics. You cross the wrong man, suddenly all kinds of accusations are thrown your way, and nobody believes you.
Nothing more destructive than a crowd with the wrong idea.
No. Oh, they'd like that, I'm sure. But I won't be going. Sooner be torn apart by dogs than give them the satisfaction. It's a breastplate. Not much to look at, and it's seen far too much use, but it's been in my family since the liberation.
I'll see what I
Then
can
it's
do.
Penhelm you're looking for. A low snake of a man. If he was to die choking on his own black tongue, it'd be too kind of fate. He kept it when he had me kicked out.
I got word from a reliable source that Penham visited a forger in Andrus Gift right after having his soul lineage read by a cipher in Dunrid Row. Should you have it in your heart to find a way to ruin his life while you're there, well, drinks on me. Having his soul lineage read?
It's a requirement to join the Knights. They have to ensure a novitiate doesn't have a subversive lineage. If Penhelm's superiors found out his affidavit was a fake, his career would be over. Every novitiate gets an affidavit from Dunreed Row, and those are stored at Crucible Keep. If you find Penhelm's, one of those ciphers could tell you if it's real.
Sagani scratches the back of her neck. If generations of Massac's traditions are any indication, this Penhelm probably doesn't remember it. Still, a past like that has to count for something. It's treasure hunting, plain and simple. Sponsors put up money, hire adventurers to explore the wilds looking for ruins, mostly. If they come back alive, they split the spoils. If not, it's because they handled their weapons like this lot in front of me, who might as well be digging their own graves right now.
Go see Osric. He's usually got something. You do well for him, maybe...
Huh?
Sagani, does your fox bite?
Yes.
Can I pet him anyway?
It's your hand.
I'm gonna pet him.
Want to go up here and look at, So I've gone all the directions I can on the map, heading towards the outer map. So that means I should have various places unlocked. You know what? I think I actually might want to go through here just in case that's just like the world map and I still have to select the first fires. I think that's how that works. Okay, so now I've got them all unlocked. I want to go look at the other side of Madmere Bridge. To see if it lets me. It might not. Bleak Hollow Bands will attack the stronghold in 4 days. Security reports that Bleak Hollow bandits will attack the stronghold in 4 days. Dungeon construction complete. Upon his return, Lord Baronwigger was able to quell the uprising. Trade is slowed in the area, but you're regarded as a local hero. Let's do the Warden's Lodge next. Let's save our game because I'm not sure. Oh, it doesn't look like it. Okay. I thought there would be another side to that. What's manual resolve mean? I think that means manual battle. I don't have a problem with that.
That's her indeed.
Why is this guy back? I thought I already unintentionally helped him. Let's go see what he wants. This guy's turned out to be a pain in the ass. Let's see what... now I built the dungeons. Let's see what the dungeons give me. Maybe I'll just throw them in the dungeons. Gonna have to do something about him though. He's obviously becoming a pest. Let's do manual resolve. That was quick.
The keep's coming along nicely.
I lost one of my guys, I guess. So I explored Wood End Plains and Stonewall Gorge. I haven't explored Syrian Falls or any of the Twin Elms area yet. Let's go to First Fires. Continue the story. Warden's Lodge construction complete. Let's do the hearth. Okay. So I start here. I've got the Ducal Palace, the Crucible Keep, Brackenbury, Temple of Wodeka, Ondra's Gift, Valiant Embassy, and Heritage Hill. That seems like a good stopping point for now.